One of the things that can happen to the general block at the top in particular is that you can end up making it very long with all kinds of important documents that a student may need to access. However, what we want to do is we want to make it a little more zen, and we want to put things there that the parents and the students can count on. So one of the things we're asking you to do is put a section with a label called Important Classroom Information and have no more than 5 things underneath that particular label. In this case, there's more than 5, and so I'm going to show you how to make that more concise. So, first of all, the label. You'll click on Add an Activity or a Resource, and one of your options, if you scroll down to the bottom, is to put a label. And what the label will read is Important Classroom Information. So I'm going to type that in here. And you may want to center it on the page, and you may want to make it a little more prominent. To do that, you change the style. I wouldn't probably give it a header of 1, because then it may look bigger than your course title, which would not be good. I'm going to try header 4 right now. And then I'm going to say save and return to course. So you can see it right there. And this is your option if you have editing turned on to move it. So I'm going to move it all the way up to here. And then we want only 5 things under there. So for example, one thing you can do is you can hide things that you're not using. So this particular one is hidden. So you click on edit and click on hide or show. If this one's unhidden, you can choose hide. And if you have more than 5 things, you can create a folder. So for example, you can click on add an activity, and you can scroll down and you can choose folder and you can give it a name. Now this particular one already has a folder, so I'm going to show you how to get some of these things into the folder. Well, there's 2 things here. One thing that you might have here is a file like this PDF file, which is the syllabi. And the other thing you might have is a link to a Google Doc or a link to a website, like this one right here, which is tips on how to use the Evernote app. Well, how you get those things into the folder varies just slightly. Let's start with the files. If I want to get that file into this folder, here's what I think is the fastest way. If I click on it, it should download right to my computer. It did. And then I can say, well, I want to show that in my Finder, which means I want to see it in a folder. So it's right here. And then what I would do is I would go into that folder. And I'm going to make my browser window a little bit smaller, because what you can do is you can say, okay, I want to edit the contents of this folder. And it's really easy to get it in with a drag and a drop. So I want to, in this case I had it in there already, so I just want to overwrite it and click Save Changes. You probably won't get prompted for that. So these are all the files that are in here. Now, what about the documents? Well, I'm going to go use my breadcrumbs here to go back to the course homepage. And then I'm going to pick one of these. And so I'm going to do the tips on how to use the Evernote app. So that's a site. I'm going to copy that URL, and then I'm going to go back to here and go into my folder. So I'm going to go to the folder and I'm going to say edit, and this is important. I can't just go into the folder and start dragging and dropping them in there. I have to edit the settings of this folder because every folder has a description block with a link tool in it. So I could say important docs and sites for life science, and I could add one here which is tips to use the Evernote app, and that is actually a hyperlink to another website. So I'm going to make it a hyperlink. I select the text, and when you select the text, this tool here will become enabled. So I'm going to insert a link and I'm going to paste it. Now normally I don't want to direct students away from my Moodle page, so instead of having that hyperlink open in the window that Moodle is in, I'm going to say, you know what? I want it to open in a new window, which means it'll open a new tab. So generally I change the target to open in a new window. I'm going to click on Insert, and then I'm going to scroll down. There's the files right there. And I'm going to say Save and Display so you can see what that looks like. So that is a link to another site. It could be a link to a Google document. And then these are the actual files that students can download. Generally speaking, they're going to be PDF files. So once I've done that, if I go back to the home page, I can now remove the syllabus because it's inside the folder. And I can remove the tips on how to use the Evernote app because it's inside the folder. And as you add things in there, you're going to notice that your list here is going to get shorter and more concise. So your important classroom information, if it exceeds 5 things, you should create a folder and you can detail those things in a folder.